Okay, a lot of people have been asking me how to share something specifically with just their students for a particular class or whatnot. My suggestion would be to store files on Google Drive and then make it so that if your students are logged into Google, then they will be able to view your files. This is for keeping things as private as possible. So the way that you could do this would be to create and then in Google Drive, and then go to folder, and then I'm going to do a shared with students folder. And so everything that I put in this folder, I'm going to set up so that only students can see it, okay? And for a particular course or whatnot. So what the big deal is here, I need to share it with them. So I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go to share again. Okay, now right now I'm the only one that can view it. It's set to private, so only I can access, and I can invite other people to see it as well. So I'd click down here on invite people. Now the hard way to do this would be to go in and to type in each one of your students' names into this section. I have a shortcut for you, so if you're going to share with a couple hundred people, it makes it a lot easier on you. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop some information in here. So the way that I found a shortcut to do this was click into Infinite Campus, then I went to not student information, instruction, then reports, then roster label, and we have this nice table. Okay, the actual roster label means nothing. It's just that this information is formatted very nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight and I'm going to copy all of this information from my class. I'm going to copy it, so I can use Control-C on the keyboard or right-click and then click on copy. Then I'm going to go into Microsoft Excel. Now you can also do this if you go in and create a Google, what do they call it? Google, I don't know, whatever the Google spreadsheet is, whatever that's called. You can do the exact same thing here, same formula, everything. But I'm going to create a new sheet. I'm going to paste that information that I just copied from Infinite Campus. Then over here, a little bit of a ways, I'm going to organize this so we can see this a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to do on this first row, I've got my first student here. I'm going to do an equal sign next to that. I'm going to click on the cell with his email or with his student ID number, and we are going to create his email address. Okay, so I'm going to do this by doing that. I'm going to do an ampersand, then I'm going to do a quote. Then we need to finish off their email address. So we're going to do the @my.heartdistrict.org, and then I'm going to close the quote there, hit enter, and then this ran off the screen a little bit, so we can see that a little bit there. And then with that information, I can click on this cell in the bottom right hand corner when you see the cursor change like this. If I click and drag down, it's going to copy that cell and that formula that we just created and make it so that I can paste it in, and it'll auto fill in everything else. So you can see I have all my student information right there. Then highlight it all. I'm going to copy it, so I'll do Control-C, right click copy, same thing. Then let's go back here, and I'm going to go to my Google Drive. Then I'm going to click in here where we can invite people. I'm going to paste all that stuff there. We want to make sure that they cannot edit this, which is the default. Okay, we want to make it so that they can view the files only. Otherwise they can go in and change them, delete them, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do can view, and then I'm going to switch this, notify people via email. You can add a message and it'll send everybody an email, all your students, and say, hey, here's where my course files are. I'm going to skip that because this is just a test, and so I don't want to alert all of my students to that, but you can send a message. It'll email each one of them individually with a link, and then I'm going to uncheck that, so I'm not notifying people right now. And then when I click OK, and then skip sending invitations, yes, that's what I want to do. Now I have set it up so that all of my students are right here and they can view this document rather than have to type each one of them in. Okay. Another thing too, I can highlight this section, right, this link to share. I could post that on my website. I could email them that link, and that is where they would then be able to go and find these documents. Now it's important to think about what you have in your shared files and then what you have in your private files, so make sure you're not putting things that you you don't want students to see, and pay attention to how you have things organized. But with that all said, now I have this folder, and any file that I drag into this folder will be viewable by my students.